Hello, welcome back to Carlos and Lisa. I'm Lisa Remillard.
And I'm Carlos Amesco. What are some of the biggest deal breakers when it comes to relationships?
Well, I think obviously infidelity would be one.
Yeah.
I think addiction.
Addiction.
For some people might be tough.
Like abuse.
Abuse.
Physical abuse, yeah, you know.
But what if your partner is in debt and having something called financial infidelity?
Wow.
Okay, it's a thing. A new study shows that more than 70% of adults say that they would not consider being in any kind of romantic relationship with somebody who owes a lot of money.
Yeah, or has a really bad credit rating. Which would really, that's also a deal killer. That could be why people are hiding debt from, believe it or not, hiding from their significant other, or committing so-called financial infidelity, as you just mentioned.
Yeah, the new study from the organization called Ascent finds that financial infidelity is a common relationship issue, and it's not just hiding debt, although that seems to be the biggest offense of it all.
So is there the finer points to financial infidelity?
Oh yeah,
okay, here
they are.
Hiding purchases. We've talked about that on this show.
Yes, we
that
have.
You hide
Hiding
purchases
purchases
from your significant other, or lying about how much you spent on an item.
Mm-hmm. And researchers found that 71% of those surveyed admit to committing at least one instance of financial infidelity in their relationships.
Now, of course, not all of these offenses are created equal. Some are certainly more severe than others. You know.
Yeah. Something like one little purchase is not financial infidelity.
Yeah.
Now, perhaps opening a line of credit and then blowing through it, not telling your partner, maybe that's a problem.
Buying an $800 pair of Louboutins.
It depends, Carlos.
It could be a problem.
So we asked one of our favorites, Keisha Amesqua, licensed marriage and family therapist, to come here and talk about financial infidelity and how it actually affects relationships.
So I guess it's, hi Keisha, so it's this communication thing. We always come back to that in relationships, that you should be open in all things, right?
Right. Well, I think two of the biggest cornerstones of a healthy relationship are trust and communication. And so when you have an infidelity of any kind, really you're breaking trust and there's a lack of communication that's happening.
Okay, so let's talk about financial infidelity in particular and why it is that does that, I mean, I don't know if you can rank problems in a marriage, but like, is that up there with issues?
I would think so, because really when we think about finances, that's one of the top three things that people experience the most anxiety and stress about. So it's a really emotional issue for people. So when they feel like there's a lack of trust or communication that's happening around finances, that's going to increase anxiety and then increase the stress that's occurring in the relationship.
All right, so I have some personal experience with this, and I don't mind sharing this because we all go through problems in our lives. When I was in counseling, and my ex-wife and I were going through our issues, one of the things she said is, I hate when he goes out and buys a car and doesn't tell me. And I actually used to do that. And I did that 3 times.
Carlos.
Okay.
It's really bad. That's clearly financial infidelity, or is it just obstinance and a problem for me? I finally recognized it and I said, I'm so sorry I did that. I didn't realize how it affected you. But clearly it was family money and I was buying my cars.
Right. I think that's kind of one of the points about, is it infidelity or I'm just buying something that's an indulgent purchase? Is this going to impact our family finances? Is this going to have a significant change in how much money we have because it's a large purchase like a car or a home or something like that?
And it's just clear arrogance on my part. In that situation, you just realize you're just being selfish. And I think selfishness is a big part of this.
I think it can be. I think it depends on what is the person using the spending habits for. Is it some sort of addiction, like you alluded to earlier, or is it because they are feeling like it's theirs and they're really not wanting to be in a partnership? I mean, you have to kind of get to what's the root of the issue.
Because it's not just gambling, or it's not the cars. There's some root issue that is causing this behavior. Is that the way I understand it?
Definitely.
Okay. So also in this study of financial infidelity, they were talking about warning signs. Things that might, because oftentimes the other partner has no idea this is going on. So things like you find a credit card statement for a card that you know nothing about, or you're removed from a joint checking account or credit card, or cash has gone missing, or a partner becomes paranoid about the mail. If any of that starts happening and you're the other person that is not on that, not doing the spending, How do you even broach the subject without it turning into a defense and I'm fine?
Right.
You know, how do you do that?
I think you have to start with just having a calm conversation about finances, not starting with accusing the other person, because that's going to automatically put them on the defense. So you want to just say, let's sit down and kind of do an analysis of our finances, and you have to be willing yourself to be very open and honest about your own finances.
But what if the other person is at that point not forthcoming? And like you're sitting down and you're having an open conversation, you think, even though you've seen this credit card that you know nothing about, and they're still, because oftentimes they're hiding it and they're going to lie to your face again.
And if that happens, I think you have to bring in the evidence that you have, show them what you're talking about. Again, try to remain composed so that it doesn't become a heated thing. And then when you need to, seek counseling to get that third party to be that supportive person who can offer an objective point of view.
So admitting that you have a problem in that regard is a real problem, especially for, I have friends who have gambling issues. And they hide the gambling problem from their significant other, and it becomes it eventually breaks up. I mean, a couple of my friends have gotten divorced over that very thing. So how is it that somebody who does that, do they have to recognize it and change? Is it possible to change?
As a therapist, I have to believe it's always possible for someone to change, or I can't do my job. But I think it's what we're talking about is shame. You know, it becomes a very shameful thing that I've mismanaged my money, or I've been dishonest, or now I'm being called out on something that I didn't want anyone to know about. And so when we're dealing with shame, we have to tread lightly with someone. We have to really make sure we're creating a safe space for someone to know, look, I love you. I want to work through this. What do you need to be able to talk about this?
What if the finances are so far gone that like you don't, now the money's going to be like, well, how do we pay our house payment next month, or how do we pay our rent next month? What if it's like that dire and you just find out? I feel like a lot of people would get there.
I think definitely you're going to need some support in that case. It's going to be too much. That's too overwhelming to manage on your own. I think if you have some questions or concerns that's happening, start to maybe put some money aside and for yourself as a rainy day fund to keep yourself safe. But I think everybody has their own rules and deal breakers in relationship, as you were talking about, and you have to decide what yours are and how willing you are to stay.
All right. Keisha, thank you so much for your perspective on
Life
that.
lessons. And believe me, I've learned mine.
No more cars.
It's tough.
No more cars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you sure?
You're done with cars. Okay. We'll be right back.